Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your May 2020 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also to subscribe to my channel. Now, I have the moon laid out for you right here, and this is spanning from full moon to full moon, so from May 7th to June 5th. Okay, so before I dive into what the tarot is saying, I am going to be moving your Moonology and your Queen of the Moon cards over to the side. These will be layered on top of the tarot at the end to really give Luna a voice of her own, to really shine through. And I will be going through everything that the moon is telling us during this time. So, how will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? Ooh. Show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly. All right, yeah. So we have at the center of everything the Emperor, which is glorious, the Tower, okay. The Knight of Wands, which is a fire sign energy, so strong Aries presence here, but this is also a Leo or a Sagittarius, and the full moon in June is in Sagittarius, so you're going to have a strong pull that way. The Ten of Wands, the Three of Wands, you have a lot of passion here, a lot. The Two of Cups, oh, that's beautiful. And the Page of Pentacles, the Fool, the Seven of Cups. You're on a hero's quest here. You really are. And the Guide. Wow. Okay, so this is a Taurus energy. The new moon is in Taurus, so on May 22nd, you will feel very pulled, or around that time, you're going to feel very pulled to this, to this new moon, okay? But this is a time of action. This is a time of passion and of power for you. Now, the full moon in general is a time of power. The Queen of the Moon says power cards, and then we have the Moonology cards, which say surrender to the divine. So it is a very powerful time for you to be surrendering to the divine. Now, this is also important because during this time, you are going to be much more emotionally stable than the people around you. Not saying that you have all the answers in the whole entire world, but this moon is very impactful emotionally. It dredges up a lot that has been holding us back, that has been keeping us from the growth and from the true beauty that we want within our lives and from the transformation that we are seeking. Now, you're going to more easily, and it might not be, you might say, Dane, this is still an intense time. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be intense, but it does mean that you have this kind of forbearance for it. You really are embracing the Chariot here during this time. It's kind of like your strength, your stamina, your stick-to-itness, your determination is really going to serve you well, especially in matters of the heart, because people really do underestimate you, Cancer. They sit there and they think, oh, Cancer's sweet, Cancer's nice. Cancer, you are also astoundingly strong and can handle situations that emotionally would make other people's knees buckle. So this is going to be your real power during this time. And as you surrender to the divine, you really see this emotional power springing up within you, kind of surging like the tides coming forward. And as you do so, okay, this time is also it is emotional. It is. So you're going to be looking at things, and during this moon, during this Scorpio full moon, you are going to be more emotionally inclined. You're going to feel things to the 9th degree, and so be more mindful of your emotions. Be more mindful of what your heart wants, what your soul is saying, because it's a moon of attraction, because this is the last supermoon in a series of 4 supermoons. So 4 is a number that connects us with our bodies, with our souls, with our connection to divinity, as we house our souls within our bodies. So here it says emotions are running high. So know that even though you have a firm footing, emotions will be running high. So do not let yourself be swept up in other people's dramas, in other people's narratives, or in things from the past that start kind of bringing up their ugly head and saying, well, shouldn't you be focusing here again? It's like, no, that's done. That's over. I can have regrets. I can feel bad about things, but I'm not going to let that become my narrative for this time. Because Cancer, it's going to be very easy to say, yeah, that will be my narrative. Because you're connecting with the sacred darkness. And a lot of times, we sit here and we say the sacred darkness. And it's like, well, what the heck does that mean? Everybody wants the light. They want the beauty. They want the sun, right? But too much sun or too intense sun, especially if you've ever been in the desert, it burns, it scorches. Too intense of a night, like then it freezes at night. So there's these extremes. You want to understand that you are the light and you are the dark. You are the turning of the tides within yourself, and you will be just elated at times. And you will also feel run down. You will also feel overwhelmed. And you will also sit there and say, okay, well, these are my beliefs. This is what I'm hanging on to. This is what defines me. And kind of be a bit unyielding, because that's the way that we as human beings go. That's just it. So the light part of us, the sunny, bright part of the day, where we feel the warmth of the sun and just the right temperature, is us being the benevolent rulers of our life. The cold, the ice, the snow, the hardships, the pains, right? That's the sacred darkness. They're necessary. They're necessary for us to, embrace the light, to embrace what makes us happy, to embrace the happiness. But the sorrow is necessary because it lets us see how strong we actually are. It teaches us lessons that we never would have chosen to learn otherwise. And so it is the tyrannical ruler, but it's also, that's to the extreme, but it's also the benevolence of saying, well, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it to get to where I want to be. And as you say this to yourself, and as you see this during this moon, you blossom, because this is the flower moon. So this has you blossoming into the person that you want to be, into the person that you need to be. And then the full moon in Scorpio says it's time to release the negativity. And you're really going to see that. You're really going to feel that. Now, you might feel a bit stuck. How do I release the negativity? How do I embrace the compassion within my life? You're very, very good, Cancer, of giving that to other people. It's very hard for you at times to give that to yourself. And so that's going to be the challenge that you have during this time. How do you release the negativity? How do you move forward? How do you blossom into the person that you want to be? And during this new moon, you are going to see that you're greatly called towards new beginnings. You're greatly called towards releasing some aspects of yourself or your history or, your sacred narrative that is no longer sacred to you. It might have been very good when you were younger, but now that you are growing and evolving, it's like, well, that just doesn't work anymore. It's kind of like fashion, right? You can have a sweater that you loved and you used to wear all the time, 5 years ago, but you find it in your closet again and you put it on and it just looks silly. Or you sit there and you're like, oh, it just isn't me. That's going to be the things that you're purging from yourself, right? Aspects of you that don't look right. It's not the sweater that you put on and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found this. And it's just, it fits you like it was, like you feel like you're coming home. That's not what you're getting rid of. You're getting rid of what is no longer part of your story, and you're going to see it. And sometimes seeing it is going to be a bit hard and a bit overwhelming. But it is going to be something that you really look at, because you're shedding the skin that keeps you from growing, that keeps you from evolving. And during the new moon, which is on the 22nd of May, you see yourself walking through the portal, kind of back and forth. You're going to be walking through the sacred light of you and the sacred darkness of you. You're going to be walking through the summer and to the winter. And you're going to feel maybe not comfortable, but you're going to feel rather like understanding about it. Like, okay, these are the extremes of my existence, of my life, and of myself. And you're having a new start coming, because you're coming to terms with two sides of you. And as you come to terms, it's like you're coming to terms with the horses that pull the chariot, the dark horse and the light horse. You are. And you're sitting there and you're realizing that with only one horse, your chariot could not fly as well, could not be pulled with as much strength and determination and force. And as you see this, you know that prosperity lies ahead, because you know that you've claimed that prosperity within yourself. And it's kind of like, as you start to open the doors to prosperity, to bounty, it keeps on opening. When you close the doors to prosperity, or when you start to see yourself as a failure, as small, that also starts to come more and more. So you're changing the story, you're changing what you're focusing on, and you're really being empowered because of it. Now, during the full moon in Scorpio on the 7th, the void, of course, is at 10:39 p.m., meaning that things that you try during that time are going to go almost exactly the opposite of the way that you want them to. And you're going to be rather gobstopped. You're going to be rather like just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. So I would highly suggest that for the whole 10 o'clock hour, maybe even going to 11, 11:10, 11:15, just block out that time and don't do anything. Even if you're saying, oh, Dane, but I'll just, kind of put some clothes away during that time or something like that. No, you're going to find that something, somehow, some way, has the tendency to not only go wrong, but to also irk you up and down the Mississippi because of it. It's like, oh my gosh. So I would highly recommend kind of avoiding that time. And then during the new moon, the void, of course, is at 4:01 a.m. So if you're asleep during that time, that's awesome. That's like the best and the safest place for you to be. And not safest like, anything bad's going to happen, but I just mean for everything to run smoothly. But if you are up during that time, just make sure that you, again, are just doing small, calm things to have yourself moving forward. Yeah. But during this time, if you are asleep, you are going to get messages in your dreams that are going to tell you. And if you're asleep during the full moon in Scorpio, you're going to get messages in your dreams that really have you kind of looking at things differently, seeing the answers to problems that you have, looking at a way that you were going to do it, and then like your subconscious is telling you, oh, do it this way. Really listen to that. Really listen to it, because it's going to guide you forward in success and keep you from a void, of course, that happens throughout this time, because they happen all the time, that is going to keep you out of trouble, kind of keep things running smoothly. The full moon in June is the full moon in Sagittarius, where you're looking at the bigger picture. But also, emotions are going to run high during this time, because even though in the almanac it says that this is the strawberry moon, here it is the hot moon. And it shows us, and it has an inclination towards the extremes. So here during the hot moon, you have these inclination towards the extremes, but there's a sense here of really looking at your passion, because this is also traditionally in old European names. The old European names for this moon are the honey moon and the mead moon. So there's a sweetness to this moon too. So you're going to be drawn towards the extremes, but there's a sense of really focusing on the sweetness of what you want in life and of the sweetness that is coming forward to you. Because another name for this moon is the full rose moon. And that's important because rose is an important color for the new moon and for the full moon in Sagittarius. So if you have a rose quartz with you to ground you during this time, but also to have you meditate upon the earth and what you love and what you desire and the way you want to move forward, that is going to help you kind of balance the extremes that are calling to you, right? And as you see the bigger picture of things, you're going to be drawn towards extremes. Step back, all right? But I actually see this as you're going to be excited for something that is moving forward in June for some reason. Now, the totem animals for the month of May are the beaver spirit and the elk spirit. Now, I have the antelope spirit here because I don't have an elk in my deck. And I like the way it stands in. It says life is speeding up. And with the elk spirit, it's one of the strongest totem animals you can have. And it's strength and stamina and endurance and patience in your relationships. So life is speeding up because you're calling on your strength, you're calling on your endurance, you're calling on your passion and your power. And as you're calling on these elements, you are also embracing the beaver spirit, which is ingenuity, persistence, and achievement. It's kind of like you will not be held back, because here you're laying a solid foundation. Things are speeding up. And as they speed up, what you're looking at is like you're stepping back. And you're saying, first, let me look at my foundation. Let me look at my foundational self. What is it that I hold as the cornerstone of my existence? And you might sit there and say, Dane, what the heck are you talking about? We have truths about ourselves. And if you don't have these truths about yourself, step back, talk with your angels, talk with yourself, and see what things about you are your absolutes. What lines do you say, I don't want to cross? I will not cross. And yes, of course, in extreme circumstances, you can see yourself crossing lines. You can see life spiraling out of control. But this is why you're looking at your foundational self and saying, what do I want? What do I need? Where are the cracks? And these are for you, Cancer, these are going to be more emotional cracks. These are going to be more truths that you might have had that don't seem true anymore. Things that you thought were absolutes within your life that you're like, oh no, that's just not right. And so you're going to be speeding up towards fixing the foundation, but also towards moving forward to the place that you want to be. And this really has you getting ready for the totem animals of June, which I love, the totem animals of June, which are the deer spirit and the eagle spirit. So the deer spirit is gentle but not defenseless. Okay? It is being strong and brave when needed. It's not going into fights. It's not looking at things and saying, I'm going to be strong and brave now. It's kind of like, no, step back. You'll know when to call on your strength, but you also know when to just kind of leave it alone and let things evolve as they may. And it's also bringing forth a natural beauty and a degree of innocence into your life. And you're really going to run with that. Natural beauty is going to be so important to you, and the innocence of your heart and your soul is going to be so important to you. It leads you to the eagle spirit. And here with the deer spirit, it says, bring gentleness into your life, bring a gentle touch. And that's going to be kind of how you, I would say, even gauging things during the Scorpio full moon. If you come with a gentle touch, Cancer, you're going to see that you achieve more than you thought possible. And then on the completely other end of the spectrum, you have the eagle spirit, which is saying here, spirit has your back. But it's also, the eagle connects us to the divine because the eagle flies higher than any other bird. So it's kind of like it gets us as close to the heavens as we could possibly be, if you believe that the heavens, of course, are above. And then this is freedom, and this is courage, and this is looking ahead, and this is the importance of honesty and thoughtfulness and thoroughness of principles and of self. And so here it's a beautiful combination because at one point you are an apex predator because you can fly higher, you can see clearer than any other mammal or any other animal on this planet, right? Because human beings are the best sight hunters, second only to birds of prey. So you have that here. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where you have a deer, which is a vegetarian, which, is, you might not think of a deer as being strong and powerful. But if you ever saw one up close, which I have had the beauty of seeing one up close, it scared the bejeebies out of me. I didn't know that deers could grow and become that big and that powerful. You are going to see that even when people sit there and underestimate you, there's a power and there's a beauty and there's a force to you that is actually going to take people by surprise. And it really does move you to your emperor self. Your emperor self is at your heart. This is not a time for you to be weak. This is not, and not that you are weak, but this is not a time for you to be weak, for you to sit there and say, oh, you know what, whatever anybody else wants, that's fine. No, this is a time where you claim your throne. You claim your passion, you claim your power. And this is really calling on the two aspects of a ruler, the benevolence and the tyrannical. Because the way I see the emperor, yes, this is an Aries time frame, March 21st to April 19th, but the emperor can be, I always see the emperor as David in the Old Testament in the positive way. Powerful, beautiful, human, completely human, makes mistakes that you sit there and you're like, oh, please come on. But striving towards greatness and having this connection with divinity that is astounding. The flip side, Nero, who plays his fiddle as Rome burns. And you're really seeing the role and the narrative that you're embracing for this time. What do you want? Who are you? Where are you headed? What type of ruler will you be in your life? Because here you have your daydreams and your wishes. Are you going to live in daydreams? Are you going to, not your daydreams and your wishes, you have your daydreams and you have your goals. That's a much better way of putting it. You have your daydreams and your goals. How are you going to move forward? What do you want? Are you going to be like Nero, who, lets time pass by and doesn't do what's needed? Are you going to be like David, who said, okay, roll up your sleeves, it's time to get dirty. It's time to go forward. And it's time to claim responsibility for my life. And you might sit there and say, Dane, I always claim responsibility, and that's awesome. That is awesome. But the Seven of Cups says here to first claim the way that you want to move forward within your own mind. There is something that is holding you back. And during this time of heightened emotions, during this time of profound compassion, or during this time of, deeper understanding that brings us towards wisdom, you have the power to see what is holding you back, what is cracking in your foundation. as life speeds up towards what you truly need and desire. And as you see this heightened power, this heightened beauty to you, you're going to sit there and say, this needs to change. And you're going to change thoughts within your minds. You're going to change the way that you're looking at things. And you're going to really be focusing on what you love, what you need, and what you understand. And as you do so, you have the tower. And you might be sitting there and going, Dane, not the tower, anything but the tower. I like the tower. I don't see it as a bad card. I see it as a necessary card. The tower is change. Change that we may not want at all. It is also an evolution of self. We are leaving behind, or a shedding of a skin, and saying, this isn't me. It won't be me anymore. And this can be divinity pushing us towards that change. It's kind of like, okay, you're not leaving the nest. You're not flying the way I want you to fly. Pushes you out of your comfort zone completely. Completely. The tower is change. Profound, beautiful, terrifying change. You're crowned with it. You're looking at it in your life, in your soul, in yourself. As you're embracing your hero's journey, the fool is also the hero. Come on. When Perseus said, I'm going to go slay Medusa, do you think everybody said, oh, great job? She didn't turn a whole bunch of people into stone. No, they went, are you mad? Are you absolutely mad? And how did he become a hero? He did something that people thought was profoundly and absolutely foolish. And I'm not saying to go and be reckless. I'm saying to assess your strengths, to know your worth, to know your power, to see the change that is around you and the change that you are in, not as something evil, not as something to pull you down, not as something to be this weight around your neck that will never have you move forward. But it's to transport, to heighten, and to... It's to call upon the power of your soul. It's to say, I will not be held back. And as you see that, as you say it, as you claim it, you move forward in a braveness, it's a beauty. I just am seeing a beautiful light shining from you that moves you towards what you truly want and what you've been held back from because you didn't think you could get there. The tower comes, okay, as you see what it is that you desire, as you know what it is that you want, okay, as you're passionate, as you're compassionate, as you embrace your instincts, and you move towards action, and you conquer the fears within your mind. And it has your world changing, and as your world changes, you start to see things, seeds that you've planted. Here it's like ships that you've sent out, and thinking, oh my gosh, are they lost at sea? Will I ever get a return on my investment? Is everything lost? What has happened here? You start to see them coming back. You start to see yourself getting stuff out of it. And it doesn't mean literally a ship's going to come into harbor. It means that what you have given your attention to starts coming back. Or what you had started to doubt, you start seeing little ways. And it's because you're not focusing on it. It's because you're not sitting there and saying, ship, come back, ship. You're not standing at the edge of the land, looking out over the sea and saying, you have to come back. It's like, okay, I got things to do. I have work that needs to be done that is moving me towards absolute greatness, absolute power, absolute, connection with myself. And the Three of Wands then shows you that things start to come in that maybe you've forgotten about, or maybe you've given up on it. It's like, okay, well, that was lost. A failed venture. Got it. Understand it. But it's calling you back. Now, it can be something actually coming into your life, but it can be that you start having ideas. You start looking at dreams. You start looking at things that are calling to your soul. And they do so more now than they have before. And that leads you to resolving issues that you thought never would be resolved, that made you question yourself and the way that you were moving forward. It's by claiming your power, okay, putting down the weight that has had you bowed over, okay, that you see the extent of yourself. Here with the queen, you have a queen here and a child here. So it's like you become the master of the destiny that you want by embracing the child within, by seeing the wisdom, but also the innocence of things. And this leads you to standing tall within yourself. This leads you to being connected to what you desire, what you truly want, what you truly need. And this also leads you to being true to yourself. Because there is going to be a sense here, Cancer, where you feel like, okay, I can get everything that I want. Only thing I have to do is give up who I am. I would highly suggest not taking that road. It's not something you'll be able to bear. This is staying true to yourself. This is knowing what you desire. Not all the time, but deep down in your heart. And saying, this is my roadmap. I have it. Because you are the King of Kings. And you can tell emperors what to do, because the Hierophant is represented as the Pope in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And the Emperor was told what to do by the Pope. Then once you see this, once you see the power within you, around you, for you, at your roots, at your heart, it calls to love. You have the Minor Arcana Lovers card here. Drinking in your soul's beauty. The love, the passion, the beauty of your life. You're also going to be very called to the mysteries of sex, of birth, of death, of rebirth. So here, it's really looking at it, and you're seeing it all with beauty. You want to see the beauty of it, even if you don't think there's anything beautiful about it. This leads you to putting down burdens that you've carried. This leads you to having the tie released by transformation, but also by the understanding of the dark and the light, of saying you cannot have one without the other, even though one emotion is more desired over the other. Because remember, as I always say, butterflies are drawn to the beautiful, they're drawn to flowers, but they're also drawn to rotting dead carcasses. Understanding that both have their place, and that life isn't a fairy tale, and it was never meant to be. We've corrupted something along the way. And as you put down your passions, your burdens, what you want from life, you're transformed and you complete a cycle. This leads you to seeing what your soul wants and staying true to your path. It leads you to being a student of your prosperity. Strong tie to earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Okay, you have strong Taurus energy right here. So May 22nd, very powerful time for you. The energy is going to be intense. You're going to be transformed. You're going to connect with the innocence of childhood, the innocent eyes of a child, but also, okay, so the funny thing is when I say the innocence of a child, you think of this angelic child, but kids sometimes, not angelic at all. You're sitting there and you're looking at them and you're trying to bargain with a 1-year-old and you're thinking, this is absolutely futile. But they see things so straightforwardly. And that's what I see with you. You're straightforwardly planting the seeds that you want. You're looking at things and saying, this is what I need, this is what I desire, this is what I'm going to set out to do. And you have this innocent focus. It's like, I don't know I can fail. Or I might think that maybe it won't be easy the first time. Yeah, I don't know I can fail. That's going to be it. And you're going to see yourself kind of embracing this mentality as you're planting the seeds of your future, as you're looking at what you desire, as you're studying, as you're becoming, as you're moving deeper. And as you do so, okay, you're very connected on this earthly plane. Things happening in the now are very important to you. It moves you to the Knight of Wands. Passion, fire, creation, determination. Okay, strong fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Again, the June full moon is going to be very intense for you. The new moon is going to be very intense for you. Be mindful of this. But this is going to be a time of action. You need to act. If you do not let yourself act, you'll feel almost like you're having a war within yourself, or you'll feel like you're getting sick, you're getting run down. This energy isn't being released. the way that it should be. So just be mindful of this. As you move forward, looking at what you want, your sensuality, your passion, your prosperity, and then what you're intrigued with, what you're drawn to. Again, this is your passion on the earthly plane and the way that you want to move forward. You start your hero's journey. You start a tale that is astounding, or you start really embracing your tale, which is astounding. And you move past daydreams. And you're like, I could waste my whole life on hopes and wishes. And then you move towards what you truly want and breaking the barriers of the blockages within your mind. It's kind of like those things that your third grade teacher told you, oh, you could never do that. You're just not talented enough. You know, a parent said to you in a time of anger, or just because they were being a jerk, you know? And you're sitting there and you're seeing these scars that you have, because any memory that is over a year old that is negative is a wound. It's not a memory anymore. Well, it is a memory, but it's a psychological wound. And that's what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with the psychological wounds that make you say, but I can't do this. But I can't move forward this way. But I can't have this power, this beauty, this bounty into my life because I'm not worthy of it. And Cancer, that's not your story anymore. And it never really fit you to begin with as your narrative tale. You're going to see things start to change. This does not mean that if you sit back on your couch eating chips, you know, not having a schedule, not having a plan, not having anything, that things will work out the way that you want them to. It means that you are darn focused and dedicated to you and to releasing the burden that you've been under for so long. Your subconscious, not your subconscious. Let's see what your Queen of the Moon cards have to say. How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? Show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly. Ooh, goodness, okay. Oh, I love that. How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the May 2020 full moon? Show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly. All right. So self-reflection as you move forward. What type of ruler do you want to be? Where do you stand? What do you stand for? You're going to be very reflective during this time, looking at the different strands of you, the different choices you could have made, you know, the different ways life could have moved you forward, okay, which can actually bring up a lot of sorrow at times. So just be mindful that you don't live too much in regrets, because this is reflecting on yourself, your choices, the way that you move forward, and claiming what you want, kind of grabbing the bull by the horns and saying, this is what I desire, this is what I want, and I will not be held back. So it's a very powerful stance that you are making. It leads you to knowing that conclusions are within reach. Be honest with yourself, because the conclusions are within reach. You're going to be getting insights from your angels, your spirit guides, but also from those who have passed. So understand that. Understand that there is going to be knowledge that comes to you. Be open to that knowledge. The Tower. You're bringing to fruition the power of this change. And you're seeing what it's all for. But also know that what you are focusing on, you will start to feed within yourself. So it's kind of like going through, especially if you're going through a really dark time, a really upset time. Because I just keep on seeing this point in my life where, I was low. I was so low. I was low as I had ever been. And I would attract these people into my life that I didn't want. But I thought, well, this is it, isn't it? This is it, and I'll never really be happy, but just kind of be here. And that was so wrong. That was so ungodly wrong that I am so glad that, divinity pulled me out of it, because that's what happened. But you're going to see why. And you might even be looking at things as you're reflecting, okay? You might even be looking at stages of your life, phases of your life, and saying, oh my gosh, that's why. And things start to become clear, and you start to bring into fruition what you are focusing on. Be very careful what you focus your emotional energy on, because you are astoundingly powerful, Cancer. This leads you to the full moon in Aquarius. Show the world the real you. Start your hero's tale. Even if they think you a fool, who cares? I mean, that might be easy for me to say, but I had such a fear when I started doing this. I was like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Who the heck cares? Who the heck cares? Do what you were born to do. It might be a side job before it becomes something more, or it might always stay a side job. It does not matter. You need joy in your life. You do. You need a sense of completion and contentment, and that you have worked towards something brilliant. You need it. We need it as human beings. One way to break a human spirit is to give them meaningless, pointless tasks to do. And that's what they did when horror took over the world. They knew it. And that's what they did in camps of war and in horrible places. So go for your hero's tale. Show the world the real you. And as you do so, claim your sovereignty over your life as you move forward in a way that you hadn't expected. This is not easy. I want to make that clear. These are pretty words. This is astounding energy. But it is not easy. You will falter, you will fail. You will get angry, you will get frustrated, you will look at things and say life is a lie. And even when you're on the right path and you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, some days you'll just be sideswiped by it. Or there'll come a time and you're tired and you're upset and you're like, what is this all for? Do not lose faith with you. Get mad, get frustrated, get annoyed, get overwhelmed. Think, why does it take so long? But do not lose faith with you, Cancer. Because your hard work is paying off. As you're claiming your truth, and as you're staying in your truth, this moves you to assessing what you love and ascending to what you desire. And as you do so, I love this. I love the way they're paired. That's beautiful. The moon is asking you, what do you need to release? What is trying to smother you? Your goals, your dreams, your desires. What do you need to release? How do you need to transform? You know the conclusion is within reach and that your hard work is paying off. You do. You're calling on action now as you become a student of your prosperity and of your transformation. This leads you to having faith in your dreams as you fiercely defend them. I love this background, by the way. I think this is so pretty. And then you show the world the real you, because you know the conclusions are within reach. The story is moving forward the way that it needs to, the way that it needs to evolve within you. Your subconscious moonology message is adjustments are required. There's a need for change. There is. Make the tweaks here and there. The adjustments are required. And they're going to be well worth the time and the effort. The Queen of the Moon cards tell you to accept. It's acceptance of who you are, where you will be, what you desire, who you were, an acceptance of self, an acceptance of the world around you. And your subconscious message for this whole entire time is judgment. Your angels are right there with you. This is a resurrection of self and of soul. This is a rising from the fires like the phoenix. This is power. This is might. And this is moving towards what is right for you. All right, Cancer. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. Stay safe. Have a blessed moon. And I love you all. Bye.